Just 4 races to go here for the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway season and the first race in the round of 10 for the playoffs here in this spring 2021 season. Good evening, everybody. My name is Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for joining us here tonight from the Talladega Superspeedway in Talladega, Alabama. As we get set to go again, 4 races remain here on the schedule for the spring Superspeedway season. A couple months will go by, and then we'll get the fall Superspeedway season going. But as it sits right now, we are into the round of 10. 10 drivers now vying for a chance to win this season's championship. And we'll take a look at the point standings as they sit right now. All of the drivers with 3,000 are eligible. Greg McConey, after winning the first 2 races of the round of 8, currently holds the points lead. Connor Trafari, Chris Worrell, Zach Bowerman, after getting the win 2 weeks ago at Daytona, currently sits in the 4th position in standings, tied with Joe Gauthier. And then after that, everyone behind him, John LeBombard, Mark McFadden, Zishan Dura, Brandon Wilson, and Dan Brazington are all tied for the 6th position in the point standings, and it is certainly going to get wild and crazy as this season wraps up here. The intensity ratcheting up in the playoffs, as you would expect it to do, as well as coming down to the end of this season. I will be joined in the booth not all that far from now, not all that long from now, I should say, by Byron Rodney. He is parking up and should be getting into the booth as soon as possible here, as we'll take a quick look at the team standings as well. That is pretty well wrapped up. 10,000 points for Dudes Racing. That's a wrap, essentially. Golden State Racing currently sitting 2nd. Jawbone Motorsports jumping over Sweet Life Motorsports in the last couple of weeks. Pretty much set as far as the team championship is concerned. Sweet Life, Radical, and Strictly Stock have the opportunity to swap positions, but pretty much wherever you are is pretty much where you are going to finish here as we wrap up this season and we get closer and closer to it. So as we try to wind down the last 30 seconds of this practice session, we see Shane Posey and Joe Gauthier. One of those two, Gauthier being the one, will be racing for the championship on the ticker above the screen there, just the same way as it was for the round of 16. All the drivers that are highlighted in gold are the championship contenders here in the round of 10, which is going to span over the next 3 weeks. You have the ARCA race here tonight, and then 2 truck races back-to-back, one from Daytona and then one from here at Talladega, before ending the season at the Daytona International Speedway in the Xfinity cars as the season wraps up for the spring Superspeedway calendar. As we get into the qualifying session here, a good run of cars in here tonight. By rough maths, I'm seeing just over 20 cars that will be in here in this session here tonight, as we get set to bring you qualifying. Again, just a 1-lap qualifying, and it's going to be Shane Posey is the first one to
got
jump
my eyeballs
out.
on Zishan Dura too.
Didn't even realize you were here, Byron. How are you?
I'm good.
All right, so Byron
got logged in. I got, just as qualifying started, I got in here, snuck in.
Yep, and so Byron jumps right in. There's the 83 of Shane Posey making a miscue on his first qualifying attempt, so he will go back in, re-rack, and try to start again as Elijah Innes works that high line, as you would expect to see, as he comes down to start his first lap. Zishan Dura there as well, Connor Trafari, Joe Gautier on circuit as well. A lot of drivers taking to the track early here in this qualifying session, the longest oval that NASCAR goes to, and in these ARCA cars, the slowest of the cars running in a straight line. So you will need the time to get around this place.
Yeah, and the bump draft is not something you want to be doing with this car. If you take a good look at the nose of these ARCA cars, they are not designed to be pressed up against the rear bumper in a bump draft, especially headed off into a corner. These guys are going to have to be a little careful on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. As we continue to watch Elijah Innes take his qualifying, he is going to be the first driver to cross the line. Connor Trafari will be not that far behind him. Innes all the way down at the bottom of the racetrack, not taking the apron, which we have seen a lot of drivers do in qualifying here at Talladega over the course of the season. Zishan Dura sets the benchmark at a 53.13, Elijah Innes a thousandth off, and then Connor Trafari sets the mark at a 53.04, only to be supplanted by Jason Papp, who runs a 53 flat.
Yeah, Jason Papp putting it on top of the board. Another thing you got to pay attention to, I heard you talking about this being the longest track that we go to in the Superspeedway series. Yes, 2.66 miles at Talladega, but it's shaped like Daytona. You know, they have the dog leg that comes around, the D-shaped oval, but the start-finish line is way out there towards turn 1. So you could get fantastic runs off of turn 4, and you got to see which lane is moving the fastest to get you to the across the checkers.
Yep, Ryan Decker goes up to P2. Dustin Logston goes into 8th. This is Dan Brazington in the number 29. Greg McConey starting his first lap, and he will be the last one to get a lap in. So it's just Brazington and McConey left. Brazington jumps up into 9th, and there is that number 12 of Greg McConey. He will be the last one that will have enough space to set a time, as we will have 20 cars taking the green here tonight.
It's going to be a good field tonight. I'm looking for big things. I haven't seen Jason Papp really qualifying towards the top of the board in this series, but oh my God, he went out and laid down a run. Ryan Decker right behind him.
Yeah, and with the connection issues 2 weeks ago at Daytona, that unfortunately knocked Jason Papp out of championship contention, so he is racing for himself at this point, as Greg McConey sets the 13th quickest time, slowest of all to have taken time. And with this final minute left in the session, Byron, I am going to just do a thing really quick, and we will have the screen right back up in just a moment, something I should have thought of before we got into this. And there it is. So we're good to go.
Alrighty. I'm looking at the times on here, Frank. 53.004, the top qualifier. 13 cars took time on their qualifying. 53.143. We are 1/10 and a half separating first from 13th on this race tonight for qualifying.
Yeah, and it is incredibly, incredibly close, as you would expect at Daytona and at Talladega, as the clock ticks down to 0 here in this qualifying session, about to get this race underway. And when we do, we are going to be one round closer to ending this season. Let's take a look at the grid here for tonight's race. It'll be Jason Papp taking the pole honors by 0.02 of a second over Ryan Decker. I said by 0.02 of a second, my bad. Joe Gautier and Ernie Ludwig will make up row 2. Row 3 goes to Connor Trafari and Nick Kessler. Marcus Adams and Dustin Logston will sit in row 4 with Dan Brazington and Mark McFadden in row 5.
Row 6 is going to hit Zishan Dura. He's going to start to the inside of row 6 to his outside elbow, Elijah Innes. Greg Marconi, the last one, and yes, I call him Marconi, and you all get on me about it, but he is Marconi till the end of days for me. He's going to start in a 13th spot. Last car to take time. The rest of the field's going to be rounded out by 14th, Shane Posey, 15th, Brandon Wilson, Zach Borman on row 8, Chris Walker, Ryan Worley, Shane Newens, and John LeBombard's going to start shotgun on the field. But doesn't matter. This is Speedway. This is draft pack racing. You stay with that lead pack. How many times have we seen it, Frank? When it gets 2 to go, you could be the last car in a 14-car pack and be top dog at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the way it's sitting right now, Zach Bowerman, starting in the 16th position, is going to be the furthest back starter of the chase drivers. We have 9 playoff drivers here tonight. The one that is missing is Chris Worrell, who has effectively put himself in a must-win situation in the next 2 rounds of this season, both of them truck races, if he wants to advance.
Yeah, and the trucks are a little hard to draft with. Well, shoot, Frank, how many times have we seen you race the Super Speedway in a truck, and it just didn't want to go in the draft the way you wanted it to?
No, absolutely not. And we saw it last night in the trucks with the TNT Thursday Night Truck Series presented by the United Sim Racing Association. If you didn't watch that race last night, it was an absolutely incredible show that those guys put on in their season opener, and a great showing of what would be coming up next week at Daytona when they take to the trucks. It is, as Tony kept alluding to last night, it's like trying to push a brick through air.
Yeah, the aerodynamic equivalent of driving your garage door at 100 miles an hour.
Yep. So we are getting set to go here at Talladega. Ryan Decker and Jason Papp on the front row. The highest starting playoff contender is the 67 of Joe Gautier. And as I had mentioned, the lowest starting playoff contender is Zach Bowerman, who was the winner 2 weeks ago at Daytona in the Xfinity cars. So Bowerman right now looking to maybe play a little bit of strategy by starting in the back, not taking qualifying, and might stay there for a little while, something he didn't do 2 weeks ago at Daytona.
Yeah, they realize it's 70 laps around here at Talladega, and if you want to be there at the end, you need to be there for the end, and you need to keep your car straight, because let's face it, you got one fast repair in here, but you really don't want to have to use it, especially if you have to tow. You can find yourself a lap down, and with this gang, it's cautions don't come one right after the other. So, hey, you need to keep it clean, keep it green, and on that lead lap.
Speaking of keeping it clean and keeping it green, we are going through the tri-oval right now, and already there's been an incident. Ernie Ludwig is around. Marcus Adams in the infield grass. And the green flag has flown here, 70 laps, and immediately the caution comes out as somebody had gotten logged up in the front of this field. And the big one who's going to pay the price is Marcus Adams.
Yeah, remember what I told you. These cars do not bump draft very well with the way these bumpers are on these ARCA cars. And you saw it. Somebody into the back of somebody else pushes them right around. And, yeah, that happened right. Oh, let me back that up from my perspective.
Ernie Ludwig also involved, as we'll now go back and take a look. It looked like maybe Elijah Innes and Shane Posey were the ones that started this, possibly. So we'll take a look. We're on board with Elijah Innes right now, and there you see, well, that started actually ahead of those guys, possibly with Ernie Ludwig up at the front of the field.
Check the 31 of Marcus Adams.
So
I don't know if he got bumped into him and then turned. Yeah, he got.
That's Adams. Oh, no, the inside line checked up and left Adams with nowhere to go. He wasn't expecting that checkup, and I think the 16 of Ernie Ludwig ran into the same problem.
Yep. And That's what I was telling you about the front end on these cars. You cannot go up there and bump the car in front of you, because that is what will happen with this 20 front end on these Chevrolets.
It didn't look as though Jason Papp did anything out of the ordinary. It looked like Adams was trying to anticipate the start and messed up the timing a little bit. Now we can tell. Let's go back. Let's go to the actual race start here. And I think if we can do this, let's try to put the dashboard display on. We can't do that, unfortunately. I thought we possibly could. But you can hear on that replay. You can hear on that replay, Papp doesn't do anything necessarily out of line.
I think people just got a little jumpy behind them. Someone got on it a little too soon and had to get out of it and caused that big checkup.
Now, unless this is a timing and scoring error with me, Jason Papp has found himself a lap ahead of this field. He is at the back end of the longest line. However, he is a lap ahead of the field. Ryan Decker is catching up to him. Joe Gautier is being scored in third place, but he is the first car in the line. Now, what
it's going to take a little bit to sort this out.
Yeah, there's going to be... They're going to have to wave this entire field around in order to get this scored properly. I think I just heard an engine blow. It might have been Ernie Ludwig, as yep, there's the 16 in pit road right now.
I could have swore I heard an engine blow.
I think it might have been, yeah, it was Ludwig. Take a look and see. Yep, there's Ludwig's engine, the puff of smoke already gone. So Ernie Ludwig, who would have started in fourth position, already out of this race before we've completed an actual lap.
Well, the way that caution came out and the way I'm looking at it, it looks as if Jason Papp is deleting the race and everyone else behind him is going to take a wave around.
Yeah, that's what my timing and scoring is showing as well.
What an odd start to a race at Talladega. This is the first for me to see this.
Marcus Adams has just flown through pit road. Now, whether or not he knows something we don't, and just went flying through his pit box, you see Elijah Innes going into his with at pit road speed. But again, right now you're seeing the 1 and the 28 are the only two cars that are on the lead lap, and now the field's starting to get their wave arounds here to get back up and onto the same lap. There's Shane Newens in the 98. He is going to be the last one. Now, Chris Walker. That's going to leave
Ernie Ludwig, Elijah Innes, and Marcus Adams.
Yep.
One lap down. Chris Walker, I don't even see him taking the green yet.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say, Chris Walker, we thought he was pit starting in the number 23. Instead, he has failed to start, as we're going to be going green here this time by at least...
They might need to extend the caution.
I was just going to say, they're still... Yeah, Gautier and the rest of the field are still a half a lap behind these guys. As here they come going into turn 1. So timing and scoring as of right now is correct. Elijah Innes, Marcus Adams, and Ernie Ludwig are the only cars that are not on the lead lap. Marcus Adams still in pit road repairing damage. Ernie Ludwig, we saw his engine blow.
Playoff implications, and we hadn't even completed a lap.
Yeah, absolutely. We didn't even get to the start line on the opening lap, but because everybody took the wave around,
all right.
They would
I'm
all
hoping they extend the caution. If they don't, that pace truck's going to take that left turn, and it's not going to be enough time to.
You know, they're there, and because everyone took the wave around, everyone's going to be starting single file on the inside line, which is going to be a big detriment to the 28 of Ryan Decker, who has nobody behind him. Pace car is down into pit road. Green flag is coming out. This is going to be the start of the race as they head through the tri-oval. A little bit more space being given between the cars this time. Green flag is in the air, and 65 laps here at Talladega is green.
65 laps after our opening lap snafu. It looks like the outside line. There's some guys that decided I'm going to go extreme outside and drop back.
That was Elijah Innes there in the 68, who was a lap down. Now Joe Gautier trying to pick up Nick Kessler, but instead Gautier is going to get left by Nick Kessler. As now Connor Trafari, currently the highest scored playoff contender, as the outside line starting to be created now. Nick Kessler leading it. Zishan Dura there as well. Greg McConey, that looks like the 2 of Dustin Logston, is up on that outside as well.
Yeah, but that inside line has got all the steam on it. Jason Papp leading the group. Outside line looks like it's starting to build a bit of a charge. But remember, these guys, bump draft bad. Bump draft bad.
Absolutely. As Brandon Wilson was the car on the outside line. The 00 of Ryan Worley out there as well. So Dudes Racing as the 3rd, 4th, and 5th cars on that outside line, as Connor Trafari takes the left turn down onto the apron to get out of the group. And he will fall to the back of the inside line as Nick Kessler and Jason Papp battle for supremacy up front.
Never mind me, I'm changing the setting here so I can download these paints. My trading paints has decided to be a little iffy.
Ernie Ludwig is back out on the racetrack in the number 16. There he is down the back straightaway by himself, so he will be caught up soon. Marcus Adams is still not on the racing surface as 3 wide going into turn number 1, and everybody getting really close as the 4 of Nick Kessler leads the middle. Greg McConey leading on the outside in the number 12. Shane Posey trying to help that 12 along on the outside line as we are 3 wide for the first 2 rows here. So far, we're only working lap 7 of 70. You'd think we're on lap 67 with how these guys are running. Jason Papp leading the inside, still with Ryan Decker right behind him. Dustin Logston, Mark McFadden in there as well. And here comes the 9 of Zach Bowerman. 3rd car in the middle in that Mountain Dew number 9. Right up the gut. Joe Gautier getting back into it as well.
Well, you know what? Talladega is a wider track than Daytona. Talladega can lend itself to 3 wide racing, but man, after watching the initial start and the initial green flag, I'm wondering, do I really want to be in a 3 wide mix? These guys have decided, yeah, we do.
Riding on board now with Zach Bowerman, and Bowerman, remember, won the ARCA race here at Talladega earlier this season, so he knows how to win in these cars at this track as he starts to fall towards the back of this line. And again, Bowerman with the race win last week as well, or 2 weeks ago, pardon me. Jason Papp still out in front. Nick Kessler still in the middle. Shane Posey still pushing Greg McConey on the extreme high lane, as I believe that is the 29 of Dan Brazington that they are now lapping on the inside.
Yeah, Dan Brazington, I don't know why he's fallen that far off of the pace.
He was the one that ran into the back of Marcus Adams. So that might have something to do with it. I believe Adams, no longer a participant in this race, has not come out of pit road, and I believe he is out of this session. So Marcus Adams does not complete a lap under green flag before
Marcus Adams has put it on the hauler.
Before his night has reached an end. As look at the run that the 4 of Nick Kessler gets with McConey right behind him in the middle. That middle line looking very strong with Nick Kessler out in front of it.
Yeah, but the qualifying effort that Jason Papp went out there and threw down, and him saying, "Look, I am going to be on the bottom. You're going to need a crowbar to get me off the bottom of this track. I'm going to lead this race." I think Jason Papp's sending a message. Yeah, I may have had connection issues, but I'm here to win races.
He certainly has a chance to win a race. Did not win one last season. Has not won one this season as of yet. And again, we have a couple of months to go before the fall Superspeedway series kicks off, as the 4 of Nick Kessler, really squirrely there in the middle, is the 12 of Greg McConey. Dustin Longston in that 2, having a solid run. The third car on the inside lane being scored in the 7th position, but third in line on the bottom.
Yeah, cars getting a little squirrely. You got to wonder what their tire wear is going to be like. We're at a Superspeedway. I don't think we're going to have an issue with tires. We're running 75% fuel load, so it'll be interesting with those early caution laps to see how far these guys can run it on a tank of Go Fast and see what the strategy is going to be. Because how many times have we seen it with this series? They'll run green flags, and these races come down to strategy on fuel and when you pit.
Absolutely. There's a car blinking down there on the bottom. That is the 00 of Ryan Worley, having connection issues on the bottom as the outside line was 3 wide the front 2 rows. And then Worley's connection woes kind of broke that up. Shane Posey forced to back off. That's Deshaun Dura in the gold number 10 now moving to the inside. Also Elijah Innes with some connection issues in the 68. He is not on the same lap as these guys. Can certainly help as Nick Kessler gets shuffled out to the outside. Greg McConey leading that middle lane has Shane Posey and now Elijah Innes behind him.
Yep. And the 4, Nick Kessler, dropping way back, wondering if he's just saying, hey, this is getting too crazy at the front for me, as Nick Kessler drops it way back off. But Jason Papp, he is just kind of thrown down. I'm going to be on this bottom lane. You're going to need a crowbar to get me out of it.
Nick Kessler not a part of the championship contenders after taking a sabbatical mid-season, and he's
Nick
in the
Kessler
wall hard. Coming out of the tri-oval, cutting across the racetrack. Watch it. He gets down to the bottom, no caution, but that was very interesting from Nick Kessler as he runs into the outside wall coming out of the tri-oval, and that has put him well out of it now.
Yeah, I got to wonder what happened. He just all of a sudden shot right up the track like he lost control, of his, like the steering wheel lost control.
Yeah, you're right. I think that had to have been a hardware issue on the number 4 of Nick Kessler. And Kessler's still on that apron now, getting back up onto the racing surface, but there is something horrifically wrong with that number 4 at the moment.
I can't count how many times I've gone black screen because of an update popped up when I was in VR, and that could have been something that bit him as Nick Kessler brings it into pit lane. Probably going to burn that fast repair. Whoa! Locks him up, gets it in there. Hope he got it woke down.
Yeah, it might also burn a 40-second penalty for speeding on pit entry, and we've had that happen here on the broadcast where the screen would go black thanks to SDK. It's killed us a couple of times, as a matter of fact, as now the 2 Dudes Racing teammates, Greg McConey and Jason Papp, are out in front of this field. Now, the good thing for McConey is, at this point, he has a car that is not for position behind him. McConey does, so there's a little bit less stress, and now Innes will jump out of line, and that will allow Deshaun Dura into the second spot on the outside line as the 4 of Kessler comes out of pit road, clearly having not gotten a penalty.
Yeah, he got it well down in time, but he's going to go a lap down. He's going to be battling with Elijah Innes and Dan Brasington for that lucky dog spot when the next caution comes out. But as we've seen, when these guys get rolling in this series, you don't see many cautions, which is kind of surprising when you watch iRacing at a Superspeedway. That just goes to speak to the talent of the guys in this league.
Ran a full-length truck race at the USRA race last night. First 50 laps had 1 caution. After that, it kind of became Superspeedway racing, which that's kind of what you come to expect when you watch one of these Superspeedway races. But these guys have been doing this all season long. They have run 1 caution-free race this year and another one didn't get a caution until they were coming into the final lap. So these guys do know what they're doing when it comes to super speedway racing. A little bit of an update right now. Greg McConey is the highest running playoff contending driver in that number 12, being scored flipping between the second and third positions, leading that outside lane. The lowest running playoff contender is Dan Brazington, who had gotten involved in an incident coming to the green flag, came into pit, and has since lost the draft. Brazington 1 lap down in desperate need of a caution in the 17th position. Only one retiree thus far, that is Marcus Adams, having not gotten to the start-finish line on what was a bizarre start to this race.
Well, and you take a look at the lap down cars. You got Elijah Innes is in the lead pack. Nick Kessler, he's hooked up with another car on the track, and Dan Brazington is out there all on his own. He's got to be screaming bloody murder, please somebody help.
Nick Kessler is hooked up with Ernie Ludwig, who currently is running 3 laps down after that initial start. As we're working lap 17 of 70 here, expecting 2 pit stops here tonight. The first one is not that far away as we continue on. And once again, still Dudes Racing dominance up here at the front. Jason Papp leading on the inside line where he has been all race long. Greg McConey leading the outside. And for McConey, he's got a championship contender to his inside and to his rear bumper, as well as to the driver on the inside on the rear bumper. That is his teammate, the 501 of Brandon Wilson. So a lot of playoff contenders running up here in the top 6.
Yeah, and, you know, if I'm Greg Marconi, he's comfortable in that outside lane digging. But, you know, when I run the super speedway races, I get really nervous because if anything happens on that track to these cars to my inside, it leaves me nowhere to go.
Absolutely, as McConey just cannot quite clip Jason Papp at the line. So Papp will get yet another lap led as we take a look at the 71 of Mark McFadden, who has had an incredibly good year, finding himself in playoff contention right now. Wouldn't it be nice to see 72-year-old Mark McFadden with a championship come the end of this next month?
Yeah. Oh, we got another one on the
that's
outside
Innes.
wall.
It's Elijah Innes in the 68. It's getting a little too high going into turn 3 and hitting that outside wall. And unfortunately, with the way these cars are and just with the way these cars drive, once you get them in the wall, it is incredibly difficult to get them out.
Well, another thing, too, is iRacing has really modeled the track dynamics on here. And when you start getting rubber, you know, and debris pitched towards the outside wall, you get into what we call the marbles. They have literally modeled it perfect to where you lose grip up there in the marbles.
Absolutely. Is Elijah Innes doesn't have all that far to go. He does have drivers behind him. Nick Kessler and Ernie Ludwig are not that far behind him, so he does have drivers that he can fall back to. He's no longer in this front group. They have sailed on by him and have left him for chips. There is the gap. But right now, again, not really too much going on here at the front of this field, and a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that bump drafting is so difficult here, if not impossible, in these cars, because we'll go on board here with Zishawn. We'll go on board with Mark McFadden, who's riding in a line here. You can see that front nose, that nose of that car kind of falls down on a slope. Meanwhile, the bumper, the back bumper of the 28, stays high. Anytime you try to bump draft in these cars, it's like taking a shovel and scooping that front car up.
Yeah, and it's lifting it, you know, it will lift it right up off of the ground, and hence why you saw those cars spin on that opening green flag at the beginning of the race. All of a sudden, no weight on the rear tires start spinning, and around you go. Zip, you know, how does Tony put it? Snap, see you by.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And again, these cars modeled after the turn of the the turn of the generation car, the turn of the generation Cup cars, so what would it be? The 08 Cup car is what these cars are modeled after, and they really haven't changed. The ARCA cars of today look a lot more like the Gen 6 car that you see racing now, just with a lesser power unit. As we look above here, coming out of turn 4, some guys, there's McConey has decided to fall down to the inside line. Meanwhile, Zach Bowerman giving a nice little push to Zishan Dura on that outside line. Dura looking feisty for the race lead.
Yeah, I think right about now, guys are settling down, trying to get to that inside, and they're talking to each other in their team chat saying, when are we going to pit? We've seen strategies work out with other cars at these super speedways in this series where the first group to pit gained the advantage. But then again, the different, like the trucks, the second group to pit, got the overtake. So right now, guys are settling down to that bottom lane, and they're starting to talk to each other. When are we going to bring our pit side? Because we're coming up on 25.
Golden State Racing teammates up at the top line right now. It's the 10, the 9, and the 48, all running on that outside line together. Zishan Dura right now currently has the race lead, but Jason Papp just has that good run on, one, the shorter way around this racetrack, and two, he's built up a nice little rapport with Ryan Decker on that inside line, and now the outside has completely broken up after Dura went way high going through 1 and 2.
Yeah, Dura, but he did manage to get up there and get credited for lap lead. But Dura, it looks like he's looking for a spot to slot down in the conga line to the lower line, because pit stops are going to be happening here. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. If we're doing a two-stop strategy, you're going to want to get down, get into pits at 25. Get down, get into pits at 50, and then have enough to go to the end.
I don't think Bowerman could have left Dura a bigger gap to try to go down into through 3 and 4 there, and Dura finally got down into that gap behind Brandon Wilson. So 3 dudes racing cars in 1st, 4th, and 5th, and then Golden State Racing taking up 6th, 7th, and 8th right now. As you're right, the inside line really starting to file up. Only a sign of green flag pit stops to come.
Yep, and this pit entry is going to be crucial. Do not get run over. Do not overspeed entering the pit. We've seen guys make a mad scramble. When it comes to, pit time, it can be turned into a disaster, so they got to be careful.
Not quite yet, as these drivers still not deciding to go into pit road. There are 2 cars up at the front of these guys, and I believe that's going to be Dan Brazington and Ernie Ludwig. There they are coming off of turn 2, going down the back straightaway, and yep, there is the rest of the field right behind them. So those 2 who have both had their own problems here tonight, stemming from that incident prior to the opening green flag of this race, are now about to be lapped one more time. Ludwig for the 4th time, Brazington for the 3rd. As will we see takers into pit road this time? We do not.
No, and that pair of cars that's running out in front of this big pack, they're running at about 0.4 a lap slower. So we're going to be seeing an overtake coming pretty soon, and I'm thinking, if I want to get into the pits, I think I want to be doing that before I got to the back bumpers of those guys running in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely would be my strategy call as well, as Papp, Decker, McFadden, McConey, and Wilson still leading this line here as we work lap number 27. And these guys could probably go a little bit longer than what they thought they could earlier on because of the caution laps that happened right at the start of this race. So they are getting a little bit better fuel mileage as they come through turns 3 and 4 this time. Still nobody peeling off.
No, they can run it to lap 30, I'm thinking. Remember, we're still running a 75% load, fuel load here. And Jason Papp, though, he's got to be getting ready to suck on fumes because he's been out in front in what we call the clean air the whole time, but that means he's been burning the most fuel the whole time.
Yep, absolutely. Ryan Decker is going to be looking to be in a nice little strategy spot as far as that's concerned. Mark McFadden doing the same, as Greg McConey was another one who was out there for an extended period of time leading the outside line. So he will be a little bit down on fuel. So those dudes racing cars had a very good run at the beginning of this race, however, not able to maintain it. And, well, at least McConey not able to maintain it and hurting their fuel mileage along the way.
Right. You know, and another thing, too, this group races Superspeedway all the time, but you don't see this ARCA car very many times in the series. So it's all going to boil down to, hey, guys, did you practice your pit stops at speed in a pack? Because this is going to be quite different than bringing a cup car in, you know, to the pit stop at speed in a pack.
In the last calendar year, they ran these cars one time during the 2020 fall season, and this is the third time, partly because of the changes, the negative changes that were made to the Cup car. This is the third time they're breaking out the ARCA cars this season. They had 2 times scheduled because of the great racing that it produced last season, and now this third time because of how poor the Cup car has been changed in the Superspeedway drafting package. That has killed the Cup car for these guys, and what has been their favorite car from last season to this season is now no longer on the schedule because of the updates that have ruined that race car.
Yeah. Well, we're working lap 30 of 70 right now. And I got to be wondering if these guys are thinking they could do it on one stop, but I don't imagine them having enough fuel to do it.
I don't think so. They're going to have to make it at least another 5 laps, and they're going to need another caution in there if they want to even consider that as being an option as they come out of turn number 4 right now. And now we're starting to see the cars come in. Ryan Decker and McFadden stay out. Pap goes a little bit sideways. Same with McConey. And how many of them are going to be getting penalties because Pap and McConey came in hot and lit those tires up?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how many get staying on pit road. Matter of fact, I'm going to focus in on that pit exit camera and see how many wind up sitting there for a while. Right side tires going on Jason Papp's car.
Pap is up, and it looks as though he's good to go. Same thing with Greg McConey. Zishan Dura is going to be the one that gains the advantage out of this. But look at the 3
cars sitting on pit lane still.
Shane Newens, Brandon Wilson, Zach Bowerman sitting on pit road as well. So those might be the guys that got clipped on pit road speed.
Here comes pack number 2.
Yep, Shane Posey coming in. Mark McFadden, Joe Gauthier, Dustin Logston, John LeBombard in. And that leaves Ryan Decker as the sole survivor, as it was speeding penalties for both Zach Bowerman and Brandon Wilson. So those guys are going to be well behind the 8 ball. And speaking of being behind the 8 ball, Ryan Decker is going to be coming in and out all alone here on lap 32. Now that is good because he can go a couple laps longer. Won't need to put as much fuel in if we stay green. But Decker, and he's going to go another lap here. Decker has not pit, mind you, as we take a look back at the effective race lead. It's Jason Papp. Yep, that's Shane Posey.
Still have one sitting there.
Yeah, that was Shane Posey who came in with the second group. Looks like he's going to be popped for speeding as well. We saw him go through his pit box. And now Posey coming out of pit lane, coming out of his pit box. So 3 speeding penalties here on this round of pit stops, as it is Dudes Racing 1, 2, 3, Golden State Racing 4, 5, with Zishan Dura and Connor Trafari being able to stick with this group. The second group is currently being led by Mark McFadden. That's McFadden, Gauthier, Logston, and LeBombard in that second group. So we've seen quite a breakup as Ryan Decker decides to stay out again.
I'm wondering if Ryan Decker is not clutching that in the corners and, just saving as much as he can to get it to lap 35 and try to do it on one stop.
That would be the play at this point. We'll hear where he's at right now. And remember, running alone, these cars can do about $180. We're in kilometers now. I'm not sure why that's happened. He's flat out, at least from what it looks like, and he needs to go 2 more circulations, and he's coming in now. So Ryan Decker,
he found the bottom of the fuel tank.
Yeah, he did, and fortunately for him, it came right at pit entry. Unfortunately for him, it comes about 2 laps shy of where he needed to be if he wanted to make it on one stop.
And here comes Jason Papp leaving Greg Marconi and Zishan Duera as they come around and get by him across the start-finish line.
Ryan Worley falling to the back end of that group. Shane Posey a lap down after being penalized for speeding. He is at the back end of this group now. So Jason Papp, McConey, Dura, Trifari, and Worley right now are the leaders of this race. Joe Gautier battling with Dan Brazington and Ernie Ludwig for the lead of the second pack. Now Ludwig and Brazington not for position in the 29 and 16, the first 2 cars on the inside line. However, they are Jawbone Motorsports teammates, and the one guy on that team that is in playoff contention, the 71, is right behind them.
Yeah, they're going to be looking to give him a help with the tow as we come around the dog leg now. Going to head off to turn 1, cross that start-finish line. Cross flags in the air. We're halfway home.
We are halfway home, and this looks to be a good time to take a quick break. You're watching race number 1 in the round of 10 for the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series here for the iRacing East Series here on ESPN. Do not go anywhere. We've got plenty of great racing to come. You're watching the first race in the round of 10 for the Circle B Diecast Superspeedway Series playoffs right here on ESPN. And coming up on ESPN the remainder of this weekend and into next week, the eFormula 3.5 Series will come back tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Myself and Jake Sperry will take you around the Phillip Island circuit for the Australian Grand Prix, I believe round 5 of the season for eFormula 3.5. Coming up on Sunday will be round number 7 for the Medieval Racing League at Texas Motor Speedway. Should be myself and Byron coming up on Sunday night from the Texas Motor Speedway. On Monday Monday night will be the Rowdy Energy Cup Series. They will be at Sonoma, second road course race in the last 3 weeks for that series on ESPN. And then on Tuesday, instead of a Tuesday doubleheader, the MX5 Pro Series for UK Sim Racing finished up their season last week. Western States will finish up their season this week. Bentley Glazer already announced as the champion for that series, but still plenty to fight for in the midfield when Western States heads to Las Vegas on Tuesday night at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Coming up here, working lap 42, inside of 30 to go. Jason Papp currently in the lead. And this pack has gotten bigger with the addition of Zach Bowerman, Brandon Wilson, and Ernie Ludwig. All of those cars a lap down as that's Elijah Innes stopped on the outside in turn 3.
What happened to Elijah Innes? You got to go back and take a look as he is rolling around the outside of that.
I'm surprised the caution hasn't come out yet.
What did I say? Bump drafting? You cannot do it with these cars.
Try to see it. I'm not seeing...
Nick
Unfortunately,
Kessler.
I'm not seeing an incident.
Nick Kessler got up into... Take a look at the nose or the front of Nick Kessler's car.
Yep, there's...
And he just turns him to that outside wall.
There's Kessler and Innes coming in. Let's take a look and see what happened there. A very entertaining pit entry for the 4. And yep, you're right. Boom, right there. Not as clear as you like on Elijah Innes. And Innes just goes straight into the outside wall in turn 3. And somehow, some way, not causing a caution as the leader's bearing down on him. And now, Jason Papp and Greg McConey leading the way with Ernie Ludwig giving Zach Bowerman a nice little shove. Bowerman, one of the playoff contending drivers. Same with Brandon Wilson. Same with Dan Brazington. Would really love to see a caution here.
Yeah, well, Ernie Ludwig's going to provide one if he doesn't give him a push properly, as we say. But Jason Papp, the effective race leader in his second group, is led by Dustin Longston, and they're falling back as that front group. They did get within 5 seconds, but they've fallen back to about 7.5 behind. And you've got to be wondering right now, Frank, we're about to go, we're working lap 45. That leaves us with 25 laps left to go in this race. You know you got to make one more stop. When are you planning to make it?
These guys have shown the tendency to go as far as they possibly can and take as less fuel as they possibly can instead of maybe coming in early, like maybe coming in now, let's say, and then just running it to the end and waiting until everybody else comes into pit. So while this group continues to battle, there's Mark McFadden now going for the lead of this group. I think they're trying to get themselves sorted in line to where they are at their quickest. They fall into 8 seconds behind this lead group, and this lead group, 1, is a lot bigger, and 2, it's battling. I think that second group right now is just trying to find the order that gets them the quickest, as boy, Bowerman took a big move down in front of the one of Jason Papp there to get the lap back.
Yeah, getting his lap back the hard way. He needs to hang on to that position. If a caution comes out, he'd be a huge benefactor for him as well.
Boy.
Man, you cannot lock bumpers with these cars, I'm telling you.
You absolutely cannot. And both Jason Papp and Zach Bowerman going down to the apron there, going down the back straightaway. And for Papp, that's really no concern to him. Of course, you want to keep a playoff contending driver as far out of contention as possible by putting him a lap down. And right now, Bowerman would be at the tail end of the lead lap. But Papp really has no concern. All the cars to his outside are not for position. The car in front of him is not for position. The car behind him is his teammate.
Yeah, Connor Trufari in the driver's chat saying temper's flaring, so
I can imagine.
It seems to be getting a little dicey out here as we're closing into the final stages of this race.
There is Connor Trufari in the 48, one of the championship contenders. Championship hopefuls right now making up second, third, and fourth up here in this front group. Again, if you're just joining us, the drivers up on the top of the screen that are highlighted in bold, highlighted in gold, are the drivers that are playoff and championship eligible. Everybody else racing for wins here at this point is still nothing but lap cars to the outside of the one, and McConey's pinched. So even if McConey weren't on Papp's team and weren't on Dudes Racing, he couldn't make a move if he wanted to at this point.
No, his best interest would be to stay right where he's at, and whoa, what a bold move down across the nose of Jason Papp.
And that was this Shane Newens in the wall trying to stay out of the way, as now Ernie Ludwig gets one of his laps back, and Ludwig finds himself in a peculiar position. Ludwig came into pit on lap 33. Shane Posey, who's in this group, came into pit on lap 31. So those guys have a couple of laps more fuel than the drivers that are they're racing. Ludwig right now, actually, pardon me. No, it is still Bower. I'm sorry, it's Shane Posey right now. Or actually, no, it's Brandon Wilson. Because God, my goodness, Brandon Wilson is the first car a lap down right now. If they were to get the caution right now, Posey and Bowerman would get their laps back on merit.
Yeah. Now we saw this earlier in the race. All that double file racing is now singled out. These guys are setting themselves up for their pit entry for their final pit stop, the money stop. And bet you they're going to be a little more careful on that pit entry than they were the last time.
I think so. And this second group still has not quite figured it out. They've fallen back to 10 seconds behind the leaders. Last time we left them, they were 8 seconds off of the lead group. So right now, those guys falling back by the wayside, they are definitely going to need a caution to catch up, as the 28 of Ryan Decker falls into this lead group. And I think Decker was one of the guys, Decker was the one that stayed out until lap 34, was left running by himself for 3 laps. He does not have any damage on that 28. He was just left without a dancing partner. He is now back up in this front group.
Yeah, he's all the way back up in this front group, which kind of brings him. He's still being scored a lap down now.
Yeah, he just got lapped. That's the first lap down. So he is going to be battling with Brandon Wilson, who's the car right to his inside right now, to get that lead lap position back. And look at him doing this all by himself on the outside line, using that side draft and nothing else to claw himself back up onto the lead lap. What a run by the 28. He's trying to get up to the front of this group.
He's got so much momentum on that outside lane with that side draft. He has picked off position after position after position.
Absolutely incredible. And he's gotten himself back on the lead lap just by the force, just by side draft alone. He has had no help on that outside line. And now Zach Bowerman is going to try to push him up to the lead of this group. Ernie Ludwig moves up to the top. Shane Posey now on the bottom. They are 3 wide up here. Jason Papp, the leader, on the bottom, the second car on the inside lane.
Yeah, it's starting to get dicey as we wind down these laps. We're under 20 to go. And got to be wondering, if it's getting this dicey up at the front, guys have got to be thinking, you know what, maybe my pit stop now might be a good idea.
The 28 of Ryan Decker went from the very back of this group to the very front of it with absolutely no help. What a run by the 28. Almost got helped around by the 83 of Shane Posey there as Mark McFadden comes down pit road.
You cannot lock bumpers with these cars on a super speedway. I'm sorry. We've seen it how many times, and they've gotten squirrely every time they've done it. So it's like, hey, I appreciate, I appreciate the thought of trying to give me a push, but please don't.
And if I were Ryan Decker, I'd be saying, clearly I don't need it. Just leave me alone. Is still trying to give the slightest of nudges. Is Shane Posey down the front straightaway here? And again, all of these guys, these four up here at the front, are just fighting to stay on the lead lap here. The one of Jason Papp is currently leading this race.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, you think tempers were flaring earlier. If Ryan Decker and Shane Posey wind up spinning and taking out the field behind them with leaders behind them, you'll see real tempers at that point.
With the 9 of Bowerman slicing down in between the 83 and the 1. That's forced the 1 of Papp to fall off of the back of the 9 ever so slightly. He's returned to his position now. The 16 of Ernie Ludwig right now currently being scored 4 laps down. Has just gotten around Elijah Innes, so that's a position for him, or it will be next time around. As still the top 4 cars in this group battling to keep laps. Meanwhile, everybody behind them just chilling out single file waiting for this next pit stop to come.
Yeah, money stop's going to happen, and how much pressure when you're on that last pit stop. It's the last time you're going to go into service. You got to get, into the pits as quick as you can without getting that speeding penalty. You got to hit your marks without, sliding through your pit stall and having to back up and losing track position by losing time. It's a nerve-wracking process. It's mentally draining. And we're getting ready to see it here in the next 3 laps, I think.
And what we're going to do here is we're going to take a mental break. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back. We'll bring you the final 15 laps, including the green flag pit stops that are soon to come. You are watching the Circle B Diecast Super Speedway Series presented by iRacing East here on ESPN. Don't go anywhere. We are back live here on ESPN, and around went Shane Posey and Ryan Decker, and we were talking about it before the break. We brought it up a lot all throughout the night, but you cannot bump draft in these cars. Posey tried it one too many times, and around went Decker right in front of the field.
Yeah, but fortunately, it did not collect the field. It only cost Posey and Decker. So the rest, and the caution did not come out, so the rest of the field was able to soldier on as these guys are having to bring it to pit side to get their last service and, fast repair. But can you imagine how many bent feelings along with bent fenders there would have been if it would have collected the field?
We just saw the overhead shot of those two going around, and now Bowerman is going to take it down pit road as Sean Dura. All of the Golden State cars are coming into pit road right now. Connor Trafari's, Sean Dura, Zach Bowerman, Nick Kessler, all four of the Golden State cars in pit road, so they have pulled team strategy. And going back to what I was saying before, we saw the overhead replay, and the caution comes out. It's Dan Brazington in the 29 around in turn 4.
Oh my God, does that rock up the strategy?
Absolutely does, and the Golden State team picked a perfect time because they were already down pit road. Golden State will be 1, 2, 3, 4 on this restart. Or pardon me, it will not be 1, 2, 3, 4. They will be 1, 2, 3. Bowerman still a lap down.
Yeah, it looked like Mark McFadden had come down across the nose of another car, which got into the back. Yep. And head on into the wall for the 29 of Brasington.
So you
see,
and
the front bumper sliding across the track with the new damage model.
Yeah, Mark McFadden trying to get in line behind the 29 and the 2, and unfortunately just misjudged it. And around went the 29. So now
everyone that had pitted got caught a lap down. Well, Zayshawn Dewar, it looks like he's still, and Connor Trafari. We still have a lot of cars on the lead lap. Pat, Marconi, and Worley are going to have to pit, and that's going to put them in the back of the pack.
Yep, everyone will be fine. However, for Bowerman, that turns out to be, that actually does turn out to be, wait a minute, hold on. No, that turns out to be actually decent for Zach Bowerman, because Bowerman was the first of those 4 cars that came off of pit road. He will be eligible for the wave around since he is since he's ahead of the 48 on track, as now here come all the leaders down pit road.
Boy, that takes a lot of pressure off of Jason Papp and Greg Marconi and Worley and those guys. Because they don't have to come in under anger. They can do a yellow flag pit. But those cars of Joe Gauthier, Dustin Longston, John LeBombard, they're all on the lead lap and had pitted.
Yep, they just got new life injected into their races, and Gauthier is going to be the first one off of pit road, as a matter of fact. So Joe Gauthier will line up in the 3rd position. Jason Papp, the first of the drivers coming out behind them. Gauthier only taking 2 tires. Papp and everyone else taking 4. So there is your strategy call. And again, we'll take a look. It should be Connor Trafari in the race lead. And yes, as I predicted, Zach Bowerman will get his lap back via the wave around. Shane Posey will get a lap back. Ryan Decker and Shane Newlands will also get laps back here. Unfortunately for Nick Kessler, he will not get his back because he was behind the 48 coming out of pit road.
Boy, this scrambled the field up. Jason Papp had been the lead dog for pretty much the entire race. And we're going to have, about a 7-lap shootout, and he's got to come from the back of the pack.
Right around there. Well, he'll only be coming from
I don't think we've seen our last caution, to tell you the honest truth.
I don't think so either. And Papp will be Pap is only relegated down to 4th. He's far back in this line, but he's only been relegated to 4th. So Connor Trafari right now will take over the race lead. Everyone in front of him, unless they come in right now, will all get wave arounds, which Mark McFadden should stay out, I would have to assume. McFadden came in on lap 51. Posey came in on lap 57, so he'll stay out. At least would expect he would stay out. We'll take a look and see now who comes in and who stays out. I think everybody who was in front of the 48 stayed out, so everyone there will get at least one of their laps back.
That's going to put Shane Posey back on the lead lap. That's going to put him back in the mix of this thing. And the way we've seen him bump drafting, I don't think we've seen the last caution.
You're right. There's Posey at 83 was the cause of that spin between himself and Ryan Decker. But that right there is the biggest one, as the 9 goes through on the free pass. So the 9 of Zach Bowerman will get his lap back. And for a championship contender, that is certainly what he wanted to see.
Man, Jason Papp's got to be wondering, what do I got to do to buy a win?
Well,
Drive a win.
He's got a teammate behind him. Well, he's got both of his teammates behind him. The 12 is on the inside behind him, and the 00 is on the outside behind him, and the 501 of Brandon Wilson's not that far away. I want to go back really quick again to the Decker and Posey incident. We're going to go overhead again here. Watch how far back the 1 of Pap is here on this replay. He knows something's about to go down, and when it does, he has plenty of time to get out of the way. Just heads up smart driving of knowing who's in front of you, what's going on in front of you, in order to make the smartest move for your race.
Well, he's only been watching him pop that bump, watching Posey pop that rear bumper every lap for the past 10 laps before that incident. So he kind of had to have a feeling it was coming.
And, well, he guessed right as far as how far back he was. So it'll be Connor Trafari and Zashawn Dura in the leading lane, in the leading row. Joe Gauthier and Jason Papp in the, well, we usually call it the pushing row, but in these cars you can't really push. So as the pace truck
takes the truck off of the track.
There it is. So we will have 7 laps to go here when we get this race back under green, which will be momentarily. Connor Trafari is under green. We are back to green flag racing. 7 laps to decide who will advance into the championship round, as immediately Greg McConey jumps up. Dudes racing 2, 3, and 4 on the outside lane, and that is really going to hinder the 67 and the 48. However, the 2 of Logston immediately fills that hole.
Yep, now look at that outside line. It's grabbing some momentum. I looked for that outside line to drop down. Wow, Trafari gets it all squarely.
Yep, Trafari got a big hit from Gauthier, and in the background there, the 4 of Kessler got a big hit from Ludwig in the 16. The 10 of Zashawn Dura has now dropped down to the inside line, trying to pick up his teammate. Meanwhile, he's allowed all 4 of the Dudes Racing cars to be sprung free on the outside line. And look at Zach Bowerman on the outside line. He's got Shane Posey coming with him.
Yep, and we've seen that. We've seen the outside single car effort before with the 40 or with the Ryan Decker. When he made that charge. Now here comes Posey, and we've seen his affinity go up and bump a bumper, and this could be chaos. We'll have to wait and see.
McConey goes up to block off the momentum of the 9. That's going to leave him going around the outside of the 1. We are 3 wide all the way through, and somebody in this mix has an iffy connection. I believe that's Gautier in the 67 on the inside. We are 3 wide for 3 rows deep here at Talladega.
Yeah, aggression, gentlemanness has gone right out the window. It's dial up the full aggression mode as we cross the line with 5 to go.
Bowerman falls in line behind Brandon Wilson. That leaves McConey, who is the championship leader coming into this race, now falling back. Zishan Dura currently still leading this race on the inside. Jason Papp trying to get the push from Ryan Worley. Both he and Worley just looking for a race win as we come down to the final 3 races at the end of this season.
About you, but I'm on the edge of the seat, white knuckle watching this thing. Jason Papp is trying to make a statement saying, I am going to win one of these things, and he has got that car wound up as tight as it'll go. Zishan Dewara to his inside, and it is 3 wide. It is getting squirrely.
And Papp right now has the nose advantage. Dura pulls it back, coming through the tri-oval. Not that much in it, about a 100th of a second between the top 2. And now look, all of a sudden McConey's come back up. We are 3 wide here for the first 2 rows. 6 cars all within about a 1/10 of each other.
Yeah, but if you're Marconi, you are 100% nervous because look who is on your rear bumper.
Yep, absolutely. Shane Posey, who we saw him spin the 28 earlier on. Also a couple of iffy connections in there. The 67 of Gautier has been blinking. We've seen the 00 have connection issues. The 68 of Elijah Innes, who's the 4th car on the outs of the extreme high lane, has been blinking here recently. Papp noses ahead here in the middle. Dura cannot quite get the run coming back this time. 3 laps to go, 3 wide for the first 5 rows.
How do you think the circulation and the fingertips of all these drivers on the front rows over these 3 lanes are feeling right about now? They're gripping those wheels tight.
Blood's never been pumping faster. Boy, it looks like they have so much room in between them as Jason Papp will go down to the inside. That was without a doubt a team call, as there goes the 00 of Ryan Worley's around, and the caution will come out with 3 laps to go as Worley spins in the middle lane going into turn 3.
And look, the 2 cars at the top that got away, Jason Papp and Greg Marconi.
Boy, and all the damage there on the 00 of Ryan Worley, who kept such a clean race all race long. And we'll take a look now and see what happened. We'll go overhead. And already the wreck's already happened here. So we'll go back and we'll try to see it again. And it looked like he might have gotten
another push gone wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say he might have gotten a bad bump from his teammate. We'll take a look again. We'll stay above here. Oh, no, it looked like he came up into the 83, and the 83 came down. They both kind of met in the middle.
Let's go. Here we go. We got 2 attempts at green walk checker, and we're in that territory right now. Green walk checker.
Let's take a look. We'll try to get on board here as quickly as we can. There we go. There's the one of Papp going down, and well, it looked like the 83 might have come down on that 00. Boy, that's just it's just a close incident there as Trafari and Bowerman, the lead lap cars that come into pit road here. Golden State teammate, the 4 of Nick Kessler, comes in as well. Elijah Innes and Ernie Ludwig will make stops also. I would have to assume, and racing in the chat with those guys 2 weeks ago at Daytona, my assumption here is that the 12 of McConey is going to do everything he can to get behind the 1 immediately and not leave Papp's back bumper.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, it's even more evident. Jason Papp is going to restart on that bottom lane, and you're not going to root him off of that bottom lane without, spinning him.
No, absolutely not. And those two, again, teammates, and it cannot tell you in a situation like this how crucial it is to have teammates that you can talk to in a situation like this, because this is a spot where Pap can tell McConey when he's going to go, hopefully open up a big enough gap to Dura to where the 12 can come down and make and kind of pick the 8, kind of pick the 10, pardon me, into a spot to where to a favorable spot for both the 1 and the 12.
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting restart. It is a green-white checker. That means we're going to take the green flag. If the caution should come out before the leader takes the white flag, we're going to re-rack them and try it again. If that should happen one more time, we only get 2 attempts at a green-white checker, then the race is over. I don't realistically see, Frank, us making it back around to the white flag. As aggressive as these guys are going to be on this restart and getting to that white flag.
It's certainly going to be interesting as you're taking a look there. That is the 98 coming back into picture in the top of your screen there. That is Shane Newens, who is going to be the lucky dog, or who has been the lucky dog. Nick Kessler, currently sitting 2 laps down in that number 4, would be the next car to get the free pass as we get ready to get lined up double file here for what we hope is the final restart of this race, the first attempt at a green-white checkered, as this would have been the end of the race right here. We're going to do 3 laps of overtime. At least.
At least. Boy, this has been one heck of an exciting race. We've seen them get strung out to where strategy and fuel strategy and when did you pit made the decision. But no, we have 14 cars on the lead lap, and you know it as well as I do, Frank. Here at Talladega, you could be the 14th position when we take the green, go 2 laps, and be the lead dog by the end of it.
The race I always go back to when I describe to people the kind of racing in this series was the very first race I broadcasted was an Xfinity race here at Talladega. It was round number 3 of the fall series last year. Femi Olat, on a green-white checkered, restarted 16th and won the race. So it is very possible to do in a green-white checkered scenario. It's not going to be possible to do here today because only the top 14 cars are on the lead lap, but still the point stands.
Yeah.
So as these drivers get another minute or so to think over what they're going to do on this restart, it's going to be Jason Papp and Greg McConey in the leading rows, Sean Dura and Shane Posey in the pushing row. And a lot of Dudes Racing help for Jason Papp to try to get him his first win in almost a calendar year.
Pace truck is off of the headed into pit lane, waiting on the green flag for the start.
And it is a long wait as they head through the tri-oval. The first attempt at a green-white checkered start is going to be green here momentarily. Jason Papp, Greg McConey on the front row. Jason Papp goes. Greg McConey goes as well. He's getting a push from Shane Posey. Not the best start for the 1 of Papp. He's already been cleared by the 12. And now the 12 appears to be backing off and allowing that 1 to get the momentum going into the turn 1.
Yeah, and Shane Posey is pushing like crazy all over the rear bumper of Marconi. And this is getting squirrely.
Yes, Sean Dura gives a push and wrecking at the front. Caution is out, the 9. You saw him spear off. Ryan Decker around, Mark McFadden, John LeBombard, who we hadn't spoke about all night, involved. And somehow, some way, McConey and Papp are still 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looked like the 10 of Zishan Dwara just got into the back. Yeah, it was a push gone bad. Papp did get some damage on the front of his car.
That's the 2 of Dustin Logston, and that's just the nature of these cars. You cannot push the way you normally would and the way you naturally would. And once again, the best way to see this is going to be going high above, and there's the push from the 10. Also the 28. Boy, it would have been, everything would have been okay. It was Ryan Decker turning John LeBombard is what set that off.
Jason Papp is going to restart second, but look at the front end of his car. Now, I don't know if he's going to go take that fast repair. All he has to do is keep the nose out front, because I got a feeling we're going to see another caution, and the next flag's going to end the race. Once we go green, we only get 2 attempts at a green-white checker. This will be the second attempt. So once we go green, next flag ends it, whether it's a caution or whether it's the end, and Jason Papp is going to come in and take that fast repair.
Yep, Zishan Dura coming in as well. Shane Posey, Dustin Logston in as well to fix crash damage. So it is McConey, Gautier, Brandon Wilson, and Connor Trafari, who was one of the drivers that came into pit prior to the first attempt at the green-white checkered, looking like a pretty good deal right now. There's almost everybody in. Jason Papp will pop the fast repair. Zishan Dura is already down and away.
Jason Papp electing to take right side tires and left side tires as well. He is going to go out there. I look for the number 1 to be a man on a flipping mission when that green flag drops again.
He'll restart in 7th, so he'll be the 4th car on the inside line. He'll have Shane Posey to his outside flank, but as we look back up towards the front of the field, McConey looks clean.
McConey got out of that without a scratch.
He looks like he's got a little bit of a gash there right under the 12 on the driver's side door. Shouldn't affect too much. Joe Gautier looks clean. Brandon Wilson looks clean. We know the 48 of Trafari, the 00 of Ryan Worley, those guys are clean.
I got to tell you, Frank, if you're a fan of racing and you like iRacing, you cannot get a better show on a Friday night than these guys at the Superspeedway.
No, absolutely
not. No matter
not.
what they're driving.
No, absolutely not. And unfortunately for the fans of this series, there's only a couple of races left in this season. Only 3 after tonight. Daytona and then Talladega, both in the trucks, and then Daytona in the Xfinity cars to round out the season. So there's not a lot of time left here in
like
the
this
season.
that make me enjoy being a broadcaster.
Oh, absolutely. As we are a couple of minutes away from what will definitely be the final restart of this race. I'd like to remind you,
Ouch.
coming up,
Mark McFadden with a throughput. Ouch.
and that's as a championship contender as well. It's not going to help him at all. We'd like to remind you that coming up here on ESPN tomorrow afternoon at 1:30, Jake Sperry and myself will be in the booth for the E-Formula 3.5 series. They will be at Phillip Island come tomorrow afternoon. On Sunday, Byron and I will be in the booth for the Medieval Racing League, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time start. For that race, they will be at the Texas Motor Speedway for round 7 of their season. The Rowdy Energy Cup Series, once again, Byron and I will be in the booth for that at Sonoma at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday night. And then coming up on Tuesday night, Ben Bruno and Ryan Williams will be in the booth for the season finale of season 44 for the Western States Racing League.
You know how much Byron wishes he was behind the wheel for that race on Monday night at Sonoma?
I absolutely bet. As again, just think of that, 44 years. Western States, we talk about it so often. Western States Racing League can trace their roots all the way back to NASCAR 99 here on NASCAR Racing 99 on PC, and 44 seasons have gone by. Now, granted, they run 2 seasons a year.
No, that's 22 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's absolutely incredible how long that series has gone on. And it's a string has been broken, by the way, because the last 6 seasons, the championship on the Tuesday night truck series has gone to either Brian Barnes or Bob Beltrami. And for the first time in 3 calendar years, one of those two will not be hoisting the championship trophy come the end of this Tuesday night. It'll be Bentley Glazer who wins the championship. And from what I've also seen, he's also clinched the Friday night championship of the Cup Series. So he has completely swept out Western States for the spring of 2021. As we get set to go back to Green Flag Racing for what will be the final time here at Talladega. Greg McConey and Joe Gauthier in the leading row, Trafari and Wilson in the pushing row, and immediately Gauthier's connection blinks as we go back to Green Flag Racing.
Marconi didn't get the jump that he was looking for. Gauthier drops down to that front row. Look out, here comes Trafari charging on the outside.
All of those guys in the top 5 are championship hopefuls, so it is crucial for all of these guys as Gauthier goes spinning off to the inside in the 67. Gauthier got a big push from the 12 of McConey and just could not hold on to the car. Shane Posey now on the outside as they're 3 wide for the race lead. Connor Trafari in the middle. Greg McConey, who won the first 2 rounds of the round of 16, in the race lead.
Marconi looking to have that top dog spot unless someone spins him, but I don't think Brandon Wilson's going to do it. Brandon Wilson in the second position as we headed off for the start-finish line. We're going to close this thing out under green.
Yeah, Brandon Wilson, also a championship contender. The teammate to him, Ryan Worley, right there in the 3rd position on the inside lane. Trafari has a teammate in Zishan Dura behind him. Actually has all 3 of his teammates of Dura, Kessler, and Bowerman behind him, trying to push him to this race win through the middle. Ryan Decker and Shane Posey on the outside. Posey actually has the lead as they head off into turn number 3. Coming through 3 and 4 now, it is McConey with a nose out in front over Connor Trafari. Will they stay this close? Coming to the line, through the tri-oval, a little bit of a bump from Wilson. Pushes McConey up the racetrack, a wreck behind them, and it will be Connor Trafari taking the win and punching his ticket into the championship 4 at Daytona in 3 weeks' time. Trafari in the right place at the right time.
Oh, wow. What a finish to this race here at Talladega. Greg Marconi went from the top spot down back to the 6th. Jason Papp able to just miss the podium into 4th. Your top 3 being Connor Trafari, Zayshawn Duera, and Shane Posey.
Teammates bump, and unfortunately for Greg McConey, that is what puts him out. But the win goes to Connor Trafari and Golden State Racing, with Zishan Dura coming home in the 2nd position as well. So a 1-2 for GSR. And Trafari, who came into this race 2nd in the championship, will now not have to worry these next 2 weeks because he is in the championship 4. going into Daytona in the Xfinity cars in 3 weeks' time.
Wow, what a nail biter towards the end of this one. We had to go
Absolutely.
2 green-white checkers, and you could just sense it coming right there on that final lap. But oh my God, what a finish!
So as Trafari burns it down, we will try to get these guys in. And I believe, Byron, you are with our race winner. Or now you're with our race winner.
No, I'm looking at the donuts going on right here. Connor Trafari, right place, right time, right position as all hell breaks loose there at the end. Congratulations on the top spot. You punched your ticket to Daytona for the Final Four.
Yep, that was amazing race. Good, amazing pushing by my teammates, Deshaun, Zach, and Nick. They all helped me get this win tonight.
Yeah, talking about pushing, we saw some questionable pushing. These cars do not lend very well at all to a bump draft whatsoever. And you guys were able to pull it off right there at the end as others weren't. Man, tell me about your race through the whole thing.
It was very interesting from our pit strategy on lap 30 with only like 5 cars in the lead pack to that late race caution where we pitted like during the caution basically. So we got all the track position and then we got cycled back and then it was really crazy.
Yeah, we were wondering about all of that. We saw that last caution, right in the middle of green flag pits, kind of scramble everything up. But you're able to come out with a top spot, man. Before we let you go celebrate this victory, who do we want to shout out to that helped you get where you're at?
Basically, all my team, both my parents for just buying me iRacing and just funding all this. My sponsor, Lot 9, for just sponsoring all my cars for the last 2 seasons. Rally Energy, Circle B Diecast, iRacing, iFly, Buttkicker, and Mirror's Motor Customs for sponsoring the league. ESPN for broadcasting the league, and just all the admins for playing on this amazing league.
Yeah, it is amazing, man. And I was talking about it earlier in the broadcast. You guys putting on the show that you do make me really enjoy being a broadcaster.
Yeah.
That's your race winner, everyone. The 48, the pilot of the 48, Connor Trafari.
So there was your race winner, Connor Trafari, and in just a moment, we will get a word in with his teammate in second.
I'm loving how they're both burning it down right.
Well, I mean, they earned it. They absolutely earned it. They had a phenomenal race, the both of them. And both, at least Dura, a little bit more so, was up at the front, was the fixture up at the front, and we're here with him now. Zishan, you had an absolutely incredible race up towards the front all race long and got into the right position at the right part of the racetrack at the right time, able to push your teammate Connor Trafari to the win. This also puts you in a great position as well heading into these next 2 weeks.
Yeah, first of all, my biggest apology to Jason Papp. I mean, he dominated this race, and I just barely pushed him the first time I touched a car this entire race, and it ruined his race, but I hate that for Jason. He's one of my favorite people in this league, and he put so much effort into this, but I'm glad he could rebound for a top 5 there. So,
Yep, ended up in 4th, did Pap. Tell us a little bit about your race. You were up towards the front. What was it like running around with all of those lap cars in that middle stint there? You had 5 lap cars battling for position right in front of you guys. That had to have gotten a little bit hairy at points during that run.
Yeah. When we went 3 wide, a lot of the lap cars, like the people that were at the end of the lead lap, were trying to stay in front of the leaders, which, they have every right to do that. It was just a bit sketchy at times when they were like 3 wide and some of them were pushing each other, which sometimes these cars can take a lot, and as I proved, sometimes they can't take anything, so it's always a dice roll with that. But other than that, people were pretty calm this race, running single file. When we're running single file, it's always a huge worry when we have checkups because they can cause, huge accordion effects throughout the field. But everyone was really good with that and everyone gave room, so I was happy with that.
And really quick before we get your thoughts on next week, that opening race, I completely forgotten about it until you had mentioned the accordion effect. The opening start to that race, what did you see from your point of view? Because from ours, it didn't seem like anything out of the ordinary happened. Just a couple of guys tried to anticipate the start, and they went a little bit early. What did you see and what did you hear from that initial race start?
Yeah, so I also just saw a completely normal start, and then I saw Marcus in the 31 get dumped to the left, and the seas kind of parted for me, so I got lucky there, but I didn't hear anything. No one in my Discord, knew about it. It just all happened so fast that not one car in the field could really realize, and that's why so many people piled in, which I'm really glad we have the faster pair because that saved a lot of people's days.
It certainly did. As we'll go now to next week in the Truck Series at Daytona. What are your thoughts going into that race, knowing the position you're in right now going into the next round?
Well, I think I'm kind of probably near the edge right now with this finish. Regular season wins are so important in this playoff format, and I just couldn't get one and couldn't get that done. So I was in a hole. Hopefully, this, puts me on a level playing field with guys that had one regular season win to make it. Um, Connor and Greg are in a class of their own, obviously, with regular season win points. So they're, Connor's locked in now, and Greg's virtually locked in as long as he has okay races. So we're really only battling for those two spots, and hopefully Zach and I can get those.
Well, here's to hoping. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go and celebrate a second place finish here tonight?
Yeah, of course. Rowdy Energy, Circle B Diecast, iRace and iFlag, Butt Kicker, Midwest Motor Customs, Connor, of course, Nick, Zach, Elijah, you guys for the broadcast, Lot 9 and Taz Racing Customs, and Jason Pat for putting this show together.
All right, there's your second place finisher here tonight, Zishan Dura. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you.
All right, so now with that, just a moment here, we will go to our third place finisher, Shane Posey, who actually was the race leader going into turn 3 on that last lap. Byron, you are with Shane.
Shane Posey, my man, we seen it all through the race. We were talking about how hard these cars are to do any bump drafting, and man, you were laying that bumper on them, trying to get up to the front. Tell me about that run. You were leading the race heading into the start-finish line, and all hell breaks loose. You come home in third.
Yeah, it was. I don't know how I explain it, man. I was just over exhilarated. I mean, my adrenaline was pumping, and I was hoping if we had one more car on that high side, we probably could have, passed them on the low. But just two cars couldn't do it by themselves, and I don't know. It was a fun race though. I mean, I hate that I turned the 28 whenever we were in front of the leaders. I was trying to bump him easy, but that last time it just turned him. Kind of feel bad about that, but all in all, coming out top 3, can't complain.
Yeah, what's your thoughts moving on to next week for the second race in the round?
I'm looking forward to it. Going to try to get my first win here. I've been close a few times, but just can't pull it off there at the end.
Yeah, luck seems to have a lot to do with it being at the end. This car, in particular, the ARCA car, is so hard to, go super speedway racing in just because of the way your front bumper is just stuck out there way low. You get up on back of somebody. We saw that at the initial start of the race where a couple of guys got spun and fast repairs had to be taken. What was your experience through the whole thing trying that bump draft as many times as you did?
The big thing is it's got to be a gentle bump. In the trucks and the Xfinity cars, you can have a little bit of a run and you can bump them and keep on going. But here, you just got with these ARCA cars, it's just got to be a real barely a touch. I mean, it's really not even a bump. It's more of a touch than a bump. And I mean, if you do it too hard, that back end just kind of picks up and you lose grip and around you go.
Yep, snap see you by, as Tony would say it. Anyone you want to shout out to before we let you go celebrate the third step on the podium?
You guys, I mean, I watch y'all every week after the race, and Diecast, and all the sponsors. I don't really know them off the top of my head, but I want to thank Greg and Jason. Them, they put on great races every week. Great league. I enjoy racing with them, and my little girl, Soleil Luna. Love you, baby.
Alrighty, there's your third place finisher, everyone. The pilot of the 83 machine, Mr. Shane Posey.
All right, and so that is going to wrap up the race, the post-race interviews here for tonight. And Byron, we saw an absolutely incredible race. These cars are so much fun to watch. Such good racing coming through here tonight. And saw an absolutely incredible finish, which is what we're used to seeing, not just with this series, but in Superspeedway racing in general.
Well, I mean, the talent that these guys have to put on the show that they have, I really do mean it when I said that this group of guys make me enjoy being a broadcaster and bringing these races.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, we will go to the results here for tonight's race, and it will be Kader Trafari taking home the win, and he will be locking himself into the championship 4 at Daytona in 3 weeks' time. Zishan Dura, Shane Posey, Jason Papp, and Dustin Logston coming away with the top 5 finishing positions. Ryan Worley, Zach Bowerman, Brandon Wilson, Ryan Decker, and John LeBombard rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, Joe Gautier brings it home at 11. Greg Marconi credited with a 12th by my timing and scoring, but I do believe there was a penalty that he got cleared, so he'll be probably scored, I think, 7th on that. We'll have to wait and see post-race. Nick Kessler bringing it home 13th. Elijah Innes 14th. Mark McFadden, heartbreak for him. Shane Newens bringing it home 16th, followed by Ernie Ludwig. Dan Brasington did not have the race that he was looking for, especially off of that initial start. Marcus Adams out real early, and Chris Walker not making the race start tonight.
Greg McConey actually showing 6th on my timing and scoring, so that might be just a little bit of an issue there showing
crediting
that.
Yeah, they're crediting him. The server's crediting him with 12th.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing. That's what I showed there, but my timing and scoring is showing him in 6th. So that will do it for us here tonight. Again, really quick, coming up this the remainder of this weekend. Tomorrow will be the E-Formula 3.5 series from Phillip Island. That'll be at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow. The Medieval Racing League will head to Texas after the week off last week for round number 7 of their season, 8:10 p.m. Eastern Time start coming up this Sunday. The Rowdy Energy Cup Series will be at Sonoma on Monday at 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time. And then on Tuesday night will be the Western States Racing League season finale, season 44 finale from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. So for my broadcast partner, Byron Rodney, I am Frank Marchese. Thank you very much for making us a part of your evening, and we will see you all next week from Daytona in the trucks and tomorrow afternoon for the E-Formula 3.5 series at Phillip Island. Have a great evening, everybody.